Alright guys, so as I said in my previous trade recap, right now I'm trading only on my FTMO challenge because price action is not actually good and I don't want to touch my two funded accounts because one is in profit while the other is in extreme drawdown, so I don't want to make things worse. So I'm just sticking to this FTMO challenge for 100k, and honestly it's not going very well, but as I said in my previous video, right now, I'm just experimenting some trades. They all are trades that I would not open on my funded account, so I don't really care. Also because it's just a challenge. But yes, as you can see, my experiments didn't go well, especially in the last couple of weeks. But this week particularly, I wanted to try something different. So I started experimenting with volume profiles. So first things first, as you can see, this is the trade I opened last Friday on euro dollar. And of course, it was a really ugly trade and it didn't make much sense, but I don't care. As I said, I wanted to try anyway. But this trade on gold is the first trade that I opened using volume profiles, and it was on Sunday at the opening of the markets. Of course, if you want to use volume profiles, you have to use the future contracts of gold. So as you can see, this is the price action on gold, and we had these two big volume areas, and I saw that price was actually respecting this area. So I thought that maybe this second area would have been traded through and then we would go higher. But the thing is that in the end, as you saw in the other chart, I ended up entering right here and I got stopped out almost immediately, like the same day. The main reason why I entered this trade was for the volume profile, but I used this fair value gap on the 4-hour time frame as confirmation. But one loss couldn't stop me from using volume profiles. So the next day I opened another trade, and this time the trade was on euro dollar. The reasoning behind this trade was that price already traded through this high volume area, so I thought the price would be heading towards the second high volume area. And in fact, I was right. The problem with this trade was that I entered right here at the beginning of London Open without any type of confirmation, and I placed my stop loss right here, which was kind of a random level. My idea was that Asian highs were here and there was another high volume area right here, so I thought that this level could have been protected. And to some extent I was right, because price retraced, took those highs and then went down to about 1 hour. But right after that, price started to retrace, and when I started to see this candle, I closed the trade at break even. But as you can see, if I didn't do that, I would have been stopped out for a full loss. So at least I'm happy with how I managed this trade. But after a while, I noticed that on silver, we had this structure with this high volume area and price that was trading through that. So I went into the 1 hour time frame, and as you can see, price retraced back to this EMA and I decided to enter. To enter, I use as confirmation this fair value gap, and then I placed my stop loss above the Asian highs. And honestly guys, this wasn't even a bad trade. It reached about 1.7 hour and then started to retrace. Fortunately for me, once it started to retrace, I closed the trade at break even, otherwise I would have been stopped out. So at this point of my volume profile trading journey, I started to notice that my ideas weren't actually correct about how volume profile should perform. So I decided to change some things, and I immediately noticed a new opportunity on USD CHF. So basically my idea was that price just took this swing high inside the daily fair value gap, and on the 4 hour you can see this very low volume area that price went and touched perfectly and then started to reverse aggressively. So I went down into the 1 hour time frame, and as soon as this candle was actually going down, I entered, and well, as you can see, I would have been stopped out again, but again, I decided to close this trade at break even because I kinda felt that it wasn't a good trade, and of course it was the right move. But I wasn't ready to give up on volume profiles yet, so I decided to open one last trade and see how it goes. Okay guys, so this is the gold chart, and the trade was opened on Wednesday. And as you can see, there was this very high volume area right here. And at the beginning of London Open, during also the Asian session, price went there and started to reject the level. So I decided to enter short. Also because there was this EMA that price tested and then started to go down. So enter short right here on the London Open once this candle closed below these lows. But after a few candles, I got stopped out entirely, so I got the full loss here. And at that point, I was honestly done with volume profiles because I only saw losses and break-even trades, nothing good. I don't think that volume profiles are bad, but as for every trading concepts, you have to master it and then really know how to use them. And clearly, I don't have a clue about that. So for the last trade of the week, I decided to come back on my roots and decided to open a trade that wasn't actually clean, but at least wasn't using volume profiles as confirmation. The trade is on silver because it's still open. And the idea was that price on the monthly chart retraced into this fair value gap. And on the weekly, it took previous week's low. And on the daily, price closed above the previous day's high. So I entered right here. On the 4 hour, you can see it better. And right now I started to move in my favor. My idea for this trade is to take half off at this high, which is about 2.3R. And then what I would like to do is aiming at all-time highs, which would be 7R, and it would be great. Also because I risked 2% on this trade because it was all that I had left on my account. So if this trade goes well, I will recover all of my losses and then some. So I'm pretty optimistic about it, also because as you can see on the daily chart, we're just about to invert this fair value gap. So I expect at least my first target to be hit. Then we'll see about the second one because it's pretty far. Now, talking about Forex, I'm not still sure about what price wants to do because we are still inside this weekly fair value gap and price just took this weekly high. On the daily time frame, you can see how price did not expand beyond this high and it's starting already to retrace. I think the price will retrace into this area and then what we could see is an expansion beyond those highs, these highs, and these highs. Or we might see some downward expansion like this, retesting this volume imbalance, then reaching this daily opening gap and maybe this ring low. Honestly, I'm not sure, but I think that this area right here will be decisive and that once we see how price reacts inside of this area, we will know what the bias is on higher timeframes. So this is it for the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.